Welcome to Teacher Tip Thursday, where you get tips from a qualified teacher. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about how you can teach your children vocabulary, how to increase your child's vocabulary through reading, and how you can probably make your child learn to read better. Click over here. I talked to you about some of the sounds that you can teach your children and the actions that those sounds make. I've also got another video over here which shows you some of my top 5 products that I use when teaching your children phonics. So now that your child has learned phonics up to phase 5, they should be on their way in knowing how to blend certain sounds to read words. Once they've done that, they'll be able to pick up any book, so don't leave anything lying around your house, like any letters lying around your house that you don't want your child to read, because they could decode those, they could decode the letters on the page, the graphemes we call them, and they could actually read what you have left lying around. So some children could read chapter books by the age of 6 or 7 years old if they are able to read most words. However, most children will still be, at the very early stages, most children will still be blending sounds together to make up words. So at the beginning, your child will be learning how to read, then they get to a place where they're reading to learn. This is the stage that I'm talking at now, where the child is reading to learn. So here's a little snippet of my daughter when she was 6 years old, and she was reading a book, one of our science books. Now she's only 6 years old, and she obviously had gone through phonics, the whole process of it, and she was able to decode and understand what had been read. So watch this video over here, it's about 2 minutes long.
Did you know that good designed the sun to get its power by little explosions that happen over and over again deep inside the sun? Something called thermonuclear fusion is making all those little explosions. That's a big word, but now you know it. So next time someone asks you how the sun gets its power, tell them thermonuclear fusion. What is even more exciting is that thermonuclear fusion makes the sun brighter and brighter each year. You can believe the sun is actually getting hotter and hotter as it gets brighter and brighter. It is. Next.
Okay, what do you understand from that?
Do I have to say it? Or can
Anybody? Are you listening?
No, not really. I was focusing on finishing my book.
Or was you listening to her? Okay, Malaya, what do you understand from it?
Well, I understand that Billy, you're not looking.
I'm just opening it.
No looking.
Go on, explain. You're on the camera, you know that.
I understand that.
I didn't say anything. We're recording there, everyone's going to hear this.
I understand that lots of years ago, the sun was dim and dim, but each year the sun became brighter.
Okay, and how does the sun get its power?
Thermonuclear.
Well done. Thermonuclear.
Fusion.
Well done, it's a big word. Well done.
Fusion.
As you can see from this, there were some words in there that she didn't fully understand, but she was able to decode those words to kind of think about what it was that she was reading, and this is quite good. Another thing you can do when teaching your children vocabulary would be to widen their experiences by taking them places. So you may decide to take them to the zoo or the farm or to the local shops. But when you're outside, talk to them about everything. You might have an inquisitive child who asks lots of questions. Try to answer as many of the questions as you possibly can if you know the answers to them, and don't be afraid to tell your child, actually, I don't know what that is, I'll come back to you later. So here's another video of my children when we were at the zoo, and they were naming quite a lot of the animals.
Look, that one was camouflaged the whole time. That one over there, it was camouflaged.
Okay.
I think that might be a porcupine.
What is it?
It is a meerkat.
Another one that I found quite interesting through my homeschool days was a children's game that my children used to play that really did help with their vocabulary. And when they were using this game, I thought they were just playing, but actually they learned so much from it. And the game was called Minecraft. And with Minecraft, there were certain things in there that they learned. With Minecraft, they build things with blocks, basically. But some of the words that I noticed they learned were things like lasso and things like different minerals. What other words did you learn in Minecraft? Do you remember?
That's just eating crisp. Like the different ores and stuff.
Yeah, ores, that's another word. What about the different, there's like different minerals, name of the blocks that you learned. There's certain animals in there. Even there was another animal, ocelot. There it is. It's coming.
Oh, that's just like Minecraft.
That cheetah or ocelot?
Ocelot. Oh, I want to hold it.
I thought that was quite cool. So when we went to the zoo, they were all naming all these animals without reading the labels of what they were. They just knew what the animals were from Minecraft. I thought it was quite interesting. But actually, Minecraft do have an educational program as well on there because, you know, Minecraft has done quite well within the homeschool community for many families. And I found it a really good game for the children. Another way to increase your children's vocabulary as they get older is that when they're reading new books, get them to have a notepad in front of them. So if they come across a word that they haven't read before, they can just write that word down and then they can find out the meaning of the word and try to use that word in their sentences a lot more. I find that really good for vocabulary. Also, reading the Bible. We read the Bible a lot. The Bible has lots of old English in there, especially with the King James Version. So when you're reading for the Bible, there's many words in there that they may have not necessarily come across before, that you might have to flip through different translations sometimes to get that better understanding of the vocabulary. But always pay attention to the vocabulary. So at school, you always hear the teacher say things like, oh, your child's not reading enough, they need to read more. And you might be thinking, yeah, but I bought them books, they got books for Christmas, their grandma bought them books, what does it mean? But it's not really about reading more. Well, it is, but when you're reading more, it's about reading sensibly and knowing how to progress with that vocabulary. So they can read lots of books. There's no point just skipping over a word and not fully understanding it. They need to take note of those words that they're listening to. Also, in the morning when you travel to school, if you drive in a car, you can listen to the radio. Choose a station that you're happy with, and see if there's any word that the radio presenters say that you come across. You can choose. Talk about those words with your children too. There's also news reports like BBC Newsround that could have different words in there. Also, going through dictionaries. When I was a child, I used to read the dictionary. I was actually going through the dictionary and see if there's any words in there that I didn't fully understand. Did you do that too? That I didn't fully understand, and I'll just like learn the meaning of new words that way. Other things would be like crossword puzzles. You can do. There's things like word searches that you can do. Reading, expand your reading from different topic areas, different genres. If your child is into a certain genre, then immerse them in that genre. If they're into ballet, for example, get them some books about ballet at different levels. Another thing to do as well is reading to your child when they're quite young. So when your child is young, even when they're really little, they can't even talk yet, babies like 6 months onwards, even from birth, you can just read them stories over and over and over again. And you'll find that when the children are really young, they might have a book that they want you to read over and over and over again. Don't worry about it. Read it again and again and again. Don't skip it either, because you can be tempted as an adult to start the book with them, be like, oh, I've read this so much times, and then skip the book. The child knows when you're doing that and they want to hear the whole part of the book. So read to your children from very young. And then as they get older as well, even if your children get to a stage where they're unable to read certain words or certain books, you can read to them at a level higher than theirs. So for example, the Jungle Book, a lot of us have seen the movie of the Jungle Book. The book, to read the actual novel can be quite hard. So for a child in the early stages of reading, it could be quite challenging for them. So if you read that book to them, they have the knowledge of the Jungle Book anyway, and then they can compare it with a movie. Another thing that I did with my kids, what I tried to do as well, is get them to read the books first, and then I would treat them with the movie after. So if you have a book, like maybe a classical book, even like a book like Charlotte's Web, they can read the book of Charlotte's Web first, and then see if there's a movie of it, and then watch the movie after. There's some tips anyway about how to increase your child's vocabulary. You can also get some verbal reasoning workbooks from your local bookshop that will help them to, use their brain power to help them with critical thinking and problem solving. Those books are quite good at increasing vocabulary as well. Let me ask my daughter, who's really good at reading, if she has any further tips about how to increase your child's vocabulary. Any tips? Anything I didn't say?
Let your kids read books that they like.
Yeah, okay. Tell me more.
So, like, for Tiago, as an example, he's not going to sit down and read Jane Eyre or, like, one of the classics, like The Great Gatsby or something. Yeah. But he has read The Hate U Give. And at the same time, they're equally as, like, they're both large books. So to finish the book, each book's like 360 pages long, and you're still getting the same impact because the authors, while they have different writing styles, they have the same impact. So like, that's just it really. Because if you keep just saying, yeah, you're going to read a classic book, you need to read the classic book, which they need to do as well because it is a different level of, shows a different level of understanding. But for them to actually enjoy your reading, you should just let them read the books they want.
Okay.
First.
Anything else? Any other tips? How are you quite well read? What do you think? What do you think makes you? Why do you enjoy reading books?
Because I was a 6-year-old reading a science book.
That made you read books.
I just like reading.
Yeah, you like reading. Not everybody likes reading. What about movies then? Would you recommend people watch movies for vocabulary to increase
No.
vocabulary knowledge? No. Okay. What would you? Just for knowledge.
Just you can learn a lot from movies. So one book that I read that I didn't watch the movie, but the movie might be quite helpful, knowledge-wise, is The Colour Purple. The book was good, but it did kind of lose my attention around the end. But I'm finishing that. I picked it up yesterday. Anyway, but the movie, in the same way, it's got the same contextual knowledge. Does that make sense?
She sounds way better. I should have made her have the camera so she can just do the video herself. The words she uses are just so high, like, you know, it's about the contextualism of the books, you know, the way that they are, and it's about the hate you give. It's quite a large book. She's quite good like with her vocabulary and her language. She's quite gifted like that.
Anything special?
Yeah, but you talk really well. I was good. I mean, when I was at school, I was better at maths than I was at English, basically. So I'm like Tiago. Whenever the kids talk about like which child I'm like, are they burnt?
No.
Oh. When they talk about the children that I'm like, they always say that I'm more like Tiago, and we are very similar. So I used to like movement. I used to like doing maths. And whereas Enriquez and Malaya, they've always been very good with their reading. I love books, but I need to read more. I definitely need to read more myself. So even as adults, we can still definitely read more. I've also got a book called The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Gregory, I think her name is. And there's another one called, there's another one. I'll put a link here. I can't remember what it was. I'll put a picture here. I can't remember what it was. But that one teaches adults how to do better with their reading too. What's anything else to say is don't put pressure on your child when they're younger. They will get there at the end. It's a bit like when you have a child who has a dummy. Like, I know that Rico, my older one, had a dummy until he was 2.5. Then I had Tiago. I felt like he needed it again, gave it back to him. He had a dummy until he was 3.5. And that's a massive issue for parents of children under the age of 4. Like, saying, oh, my child's got a dummy, they're going to have a list and they're going to talk well. But he's fine. He's literally 18 years old, he's at uni, and he doesn't have a dummy anymore. And he got over that hurdle. So sometimes we panic as parents or thinking we're not going to necessarily get it right. But you have to let your child go through those processes and allow them to make mistakes in order for them to do better. So there's a few tips. Daughter's got one more. Oh, put your hand was up. So there's a few tips for what you can do to increase your child's vocabulary. I guess we kind of touched upon helping them with their reading and writing also. And yeah, speak to you soon. Like and subscribe if you like our content. Bye.